So let's get some perspectives on the matter. It appears another day, another twist, another day, another court order. And this seems to be tearing the party apart in the past few weeks. We're being joined now on Lunchtime Politics by an APC chieftain, Mr. Oshiomhole. He joins us from our Abuja studio. We also have Mr. Sule Iko-Sani, who joins us via phone also this afternoon. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time. Let me begin with Mr. Obo in Abuja. Now, this seems to me like a deja vu, because I recall that about 2 years ago we had some of these issues also play out with the former national chairman of the APC. There were protests, court orders, different meetings and machinations here and there. And the question for a lot of people is, will this also end the same way it ended about 2 years ago?
Well, let me begin this program by making a special appeal to APC leadership, especially the leadership in the South-South. Let this not become our own banana peel. A point of departure from what happened last time was that the very venerable His Excellency Odigo Oyego finished his tenure. It is about his second tenure that was in contention, whether he should rerun or not. And he gracefully and on his own opted not to, and announced it way before the National Convention and before the Congresses took place. The aftermath of that is what we are trying to deal with as an offshoot, as a later-day repercussion of the way he left the office. Another issue is also the way the primaries played out, and, of course, the election eventually. Some people felt shortchanged, and others are still not able to come to terms with the fact that the national chairman, or under his leadership, a lot of things, or his agents, or some members of the party who partook in the screening, the primaries and other things, did not handle the primaries in a manner that left a level playing ground. Those tendencies were there, and that was what brought about the National Reconciliation Committee. I want to plead and implore leadership of the South-South not to give a bad name to the South-South in a manner that will give us that we cannot handle leadership as it happened in the Southwest when they gave them, Southeast, when they gave them the president of the Senate, that in 4 years we had 4 Senate presidents.
All right, Mr.
I
Obo,
want us to avoid that situation.
Are you referring to that?
We can have a party to hand over to Nigeria.
Right. Are you referring to the meeting that took place, last night, where, members of the South-South in the party are said to have resolved to allow the most senior official of the party to be in charge? And I think this refers to Chief Victor Giadom. Are you referring to that particular meeting? Are you saying the resolution from that meeting has a tendency to tear the party apart?
First of all, that South-South cannot meet as a team, even if it requires that an Oshiomhole has to make a sacrifice of stepping aside. Let the South-South come as a mature team to say so and avoid the situation of ridiculing itself before Nigeria. First of all, we are minorities. 2, we have the opportunity to have produced an opposition president in succession from Oyegu to Oshiomhole. That is an achievement Nigerians are not going to forget in a hurry. It's a landmark victory for the South-South as one of the balancing rods of the Nigerian political space. And I do think that to sustain it and maintain it is one of the major things that we owe to the generations to come and to Nigerian Democrats, and especially the progressive color of Nigerian democracy. Finally, yesterday's event, what took place, tells you clearly that the South-South didn't speak as a team. People like the Niger Delta minister was not in that meeting. People like the deputy senior president was not in that meeting. And then you have a skewed arrangement in which people are going to give the impression that the South-South is not organized to hold leadership in Nigeria. If we can't do it in APC, and then why would we be asking for presidency or vice presidency if we can't handle a simple party office and organize ourselves as an organic whole that can keep Nigeria democracy together?
Allow me to butt in here.
It is a statement on Nigeria.
All right, allow me to butt in here and bring in Mr. Sule Iko-Sani, who joins us via phone, just to sort of get some balance to this discussion. So, Mr. Iko-Sani, if you can hear me. So, there was a meeting yesterday. Mr. Obum believes that this meeting did not bring on board all the relevant South-South leaders. Some, of course, are divided on that. But seeing the build-up to next week's NEC meeting, do you see it happening, especially now that there's been another court order saying that some people must be allowed into that NEC meeting? Where are we now?
The issues of the crisis that is ongoing right now is very clear to all of us that is in court. I understand yesterday there was a court judgment that came, but there was an injunction yesterday that came. I'm not privy to that particular information. But all I will tell you is that APC is a national party. It's understandable to all of us that as soon this crisis gets over, I'm sure after the next meeting, most of these issues will be sorted. This issue will be sorted. But the fact that petition is already on the floor concerning a national party chairman that came from his ward, it has gotten to the national level, up to the party level now. It's very likely for you to receive a lot of reactions from people that are supporting the chairman and those ones that are actually on the side of the APC. Because we are on the side of APC and we're interested in protecting the democracy and the party we have worked so hard.
All right. Mr. Oshiomhole, allow me to butt in here for a moment so we can take a break. And when we come back, we'll take a look at some of his court cases. Because as at the last count, there are at least 6 court cases related to this leadership tussle in the APC. We'll take a look at some of them when we return. Plus, Honorable Emeka Hedioa will not be going home as planned. Find out details of that after the break. So let's continue the conversation around the APC. Yes, there's been a crisis brewing, not for days, not for weeks, but for months. And the question is, what will happen in the coming days? Few uncertainties, but let's try to get perspective on this as we're being joined by Mr. Sule Ikosami. He joins us via phone, and Mr. Cletus Obun, who joins us from our Abuja studios. Thank you so much, gentlemen. So, Mr. Ikosami, just before the break, let me just let you land and add this to it. So, people are predicting, some are predicting that, so we've had this successively in just 2 years, a leadership crisis. Well, different, they might call it, but there are some trends here. And some are predicting that APC might be heading towards some implosion. What do you think should be done to avert such?
You see, this is, in any democracy around the world, it's normal for you to start seeing little misunderstanding here with the party hierarchy. But I can tell you, APC is a party that has come to. We have been in this party, success has been peace in 2015. All these issues that might come about, some of them could actually be resolved. Some will be resolved because you have to remember that this was finished election in 2019. There were a lot of issues in court about primary election, about several other issues. People will always express their grievances at the higher level, the hierarchy of the party, and even the next level. So you have to understand that this is normal, but it's going to get away. It's just a matter of time. And virtually all issues concerning party issues at the court is very clear. It's very fair for us not to get too deep into it. But I can tell you, our party is going to stay stable. APC has come to stay. There will never be any crisis. Not a party of one man, is a national party of Nigeria.
Are you suggesting that some of those court cases be withdrawn, or in fact, all of them? Is that what you're suggesting?
No. Just like, even when there was election, no. You remember, even when there was election, there were a lot of people that went to court. And, eventually, when you have grievances within the party, the constitution of the government is there, which is the supreme. People go to court to actually express their grievances. Court will solve it, and internal mechanism of the party will still continue to engage to ensure that there is harmony within the party. So it's a matter, the issue of party getting to be exploded is there is no question about democracy in action. You see people expressing issues at every level. This is normal.
All right.
But these things will go away. Issues will come up in court. They will go away, and party will be standing and will continue to rule this country with the harmony of democracy that we have actually bestowed this.
Okay. Thank you. So let's get Mr. Obo's final statement on this. I mean, if you look at the court cases at the FCT High Court, the Federal High Court in Kano, High Court of the FCT in Lagos, Ekiti, you know, cases here and there. And the question is, what happens next? And let me just put this to you. At whose table is this resolution? Who should be resolving this crisis? On a final note.
Well, let me make this point very clear. Today, people are taking all kinds of position and grandstanding. It will be a lose-lose situation, or what you call MAD, mutually assured destruction, if APC imagines that some people can be undermined or some people are the party and the party is their name. Nobody ever brought this party as an individual. Therefore, being as a group, I do imagine that the court cases are a huge distraction. And the founders of APC had this in mind when in the relevant articles, they insisted that if you take a matter to court without exhausting the internal mechanisms for conflict resolution, you stand expelled without fair hearing.
So are you suggesting...
Some people have interpreted this to have contradicted the Constitution of Nigeria. But I want to say that in our own particular case, the cases in court, some of them are frivolous, some of them are intended to truncate the party. And if this party must succeed, then the president of Nigeria, the leaders of the party in the different zones, especially people like Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the Jagaban and the leader of the party, and such other key actors in the Nigerian political scene, especially within the leadership, who are so far neutral, especially the president, who is being distracted by this internal party crisis, should please step in and make a statement about how to resolve this problem, because they will do nobody. Nobody is going to win under the circumstance.
Okay, Mr.
What we are
going
to get
just one more thing.
I'd
like to get a yes or no.
In this boat must be given an opportunity.
Let me throw this in before we round off this conversation. So now that these cases are in court and your constitution says if all the internal party mechanisms are not followed through and you go to court, you stand expelled, are you suggesting that some of those members be expelled?
As it is today, if you go expelling people, everybody will be expelled, because most people who went to court go through any process within the party. Everybody will be expelled. So we need a political solution, and that's why we are calling on the president to deal with that.
All right. I'd like to thank you so much for sharing your thoughts, Mr. Cletus Obun and Mr. Sule Ikosami, both members of the APC.